Now, the World Economic Forum on Africa wrapping up in Cape Town today. For more, we cross to the International Convention Centre, where anchor Nompumelelo Siziba is standing by for us. Nompu, what's been the activity, the words in the corridors today?
We're close to wrapping up the World Economic Forum on Africa, where the theme has been shaping inclusive growth and shared futures in the fourth industrial revolution. And just to give us a recap of what's taken place here over the last number of days, I'm joined in our studio by Oliver Cann. He's the head of communications at WEFA. Thanks very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
Good stuff. So, of course, there's been a lot of headline news around the World Economic Forum, but a lot going on in the actual meetings as well. Just give us a sense of how well things have gone.
Sure. So we all know what the World Economic Forum is about. We're about those long-term, knotty challenges that we face as a region, as countries, as governments, as businesses, how to fix the challenges that really need badly addressing: unemployment, skills, climate change, internet penetration, all those development issues that are so crucial. But at the same time, we also have to look closer to home and take on the short-term challenges too. So, as you know, this week there have been two very strong stories around gender-based violence, which has been absolutely terrible development, a real crisis in this country, across Africa, and also, I may say, across large parts of the world as well. And of course, xenophobia. So a lot of the energy, and rightly so, at this meeting has been focused on how to address that, how we've got the leaders from all over Africa and all over the world, business leaders that want to invest in Africa, have a vested interest in seeing these challenges and these problems fixed.
Yes.
I'm very proud to be able to say that after a session that we convened yesterday, there will be an action plan backed by the South African government to bring tech solutions that will ideally help empower women and provide assistance for women in need. That's going to be announced in the closing plenary in a few minutes' time.
Yes.
We also have a number of initiatives backed by business to improve and foster better integration, and that means with Nigeria and South Africa, and keep dialogue open. Our big strong message there is that we need dialogue. We work all around the world, and we are used to working in areas where diplomatic tensions can be quite high, and we have found over the years, we will be 50 years old in January, we have found that the only way to overcome differences is to talk.
You know, one of the things that a few of my friends and colleagues have been asking is why is this emphasis on the fourth industrial revolution for the continent when we haven't in many instances been able to keep up with the third industrial revolution, particularly around our infrastructural development and so on, and we're looking to become this massive trade hub, the African continental free trade area. So how is technology going to help us in terms of that? Because you still need trucks to carry goods from one place to another in order to service a market.
But one day, and we're already seeing this, one day those trucks may not be driven by human beings, and this is one of the challenges. So it's a completely valid discussion whether we need to focus on the fourth industrial revolution. What we're saying is we're neither for it or against it, but we know it's coming,
yeah.
And we're quite concerned about some of its implications, and we're quite excited about some of its prospects, so that we know. Unlike Asia or the Asian tigers, whose development was driven by low-cost manufacturing and has enabled them to move up the value chain, we don't think this is going to be happening as much for Africa. Africa needs to find its own way forward. And as a result of this, then why not use the fourth industrial revolution to help the first, second and third? We have a program in Oman in the Middle East where date farmers, for example, are using drones to carry out surveys and assessments of their plantations. Now that is great because it helps provide the workers with greater skills, helps them earn more money, and helps drive productivity.
Yes.
We're saying you talk about infrastructure. It's a very, very good point. And I don't know the statistic, but a large proportion of the African population lives beyond 2 miles from a paved road, for example. So why not use drones?
Yeah.
And drone services, of course, is one area where Africa is a leader. It's not even leapfrogging. It's setting the pace in the world for commercial and civilian use of drones. So those are just a few of the examples. But we believe technology is vital. We see e-commerce as having the possibility of creating 3 million jobs. Financial technology, remittances, the new solutions that can help people pay and have access to finance. A huge growth area which could add huge huge amounts to the African economy in the next few years.
The World Economic Forum serves as a really positive force because it's looking to unite the world and get people to work collaboratively and so on. But then, of course, right now in the world, things are changing. People are becoming more polarized. People are becoming more nationalistic. So how do you work against that tide?
Well, look, it's a very difficult time for the world. If we look at it, you're absolutely right. We're not in a world dominated by a hegemonic power like the United States. We're fast moving towards a multipolar world, as we call it, different centers of power. And what we're seeing is greater regionalization, whether it's between Asia or the Americas or Europe. That's not healthy. And we know that international trade has been a great way of improving livelihoods and standards of living. But it has also led to inequality, and that's something that needs to be addressed. Nevertheless, we believe openness is the way forward. This is one reason why there are so many businesses here that are optimistic about Africa, because Africa is actually bucking that trend. It signed the Continental Free Trade Agreement this year.
Yes.
Minister Mboweni said, and I totally agree with him, he said in the opening plenary yesterday that he believed this was the biggest thing to happen to Africa since the end of the colonial era. I believe it also. But it's a unique window, and if it isn't capitalised upon, and if integration isn't allowed to happen, and cooperation isn't allowed to be fostered across this region, then it is a missed opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. Well, the work has to just begin. Thank you so much, Oliver, for your time. As always, Oliver Cann, he's the head of communications of the World Economic Forum, and that's where we're going to leave it. Back to studio.